Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading for, this is actually going to be a bonus reading. We're just going to take a look at the rest of 2021, basically from whenever you watch this until the end of 2021. We're going to take a look at your current general energies in this first row here. We're going to take a look at anything unexpected coming in for you in your second row. And then we're going to look at any messages from your guides in the last row here. We're also going to pull three yes or no question cards at the end. And I will also, if you don't have questions, that's fine as well, because I will just be putting all three together as just kind of like a collective energy for you, Pisces. But Pisces, I already love this for you. This is amazing for the rest of 2021. I would definitely say you're feeling in your element. One thing I would say as well is I think just intuitively for the rest of 2021 for you, but also I'm cheating a little bit as well here, Pisces. Just based off your astrology, I think everything is going to be magnified for you. This could be a good thing and a bad thing for you. So I would be very, very careful with the things that you surround yourself with for the rest of 2021, because it's I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it again, and then I'm going to say it again and again and again, because it's extremely important for you, Pisces. Out of all the signs, I think your environment, and just intuitively I feel that your environment is going to be extremely important for you, and it's going to affect a lot of things, like your mental health, your, how you think, how you operate, like what you feel like doing. All these things are going to be affected very strongly by your environment. We have this birds of a feather card here, and as the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. There's a bird right here. There's a bird right here, Pisces, a bird. I'm noticing all these birds in your reading. It's funny because, Virgo, in your opposite sign, always gets birds in their readings. So, I always find that you and Virgo are the most similar opposites out of all the possible combinations in the zodiac, so that's interesting, but again, I feel like this is saying you need to be very, very careful with the food that you're feeding yourself. Not just literally the food that you're feeding yourself, but also the spiritual food that you're getting, the energetic food that you're getting, the people food from around you that you're getting. And that's the way I would put it. I would be very careful with the things that you're feeding yourself for the rest of the year. You have the Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel of Fortune is a very good card, Pisces, but the Wheel of Fortune can go both ways, right? The wheel can spin forwards, it can spin backwards. So, I would be very careful to only fill your head with, positive, uplifting, good things in your life as well. And it's funny because, I always get tons of people who tell me how bad things are in the world and all this other stuff. And usually, I'm not picking on those people, but what I'd say is usually their lives are pretty shitty. And it's the people who think positively, their lives are pretty positive. Even over the last few months, I've noticed that in my own life, there are some things that, were kind of affecting me mentally. I got rid of those things, and literally overnight, things got significantly better. So I do feel for you, Pisces, that your kind of surroundings are going to be very important for you. The people you surround yourself with and what you believe is going to be very important as well. You have the Wheel of Fortune, the Empress, and the Seven of Wands. I mean, literally, the Seven of Wands is the card of conviction. I always say that. The word right here at the top of the card is conviction. So literally what you believe on a very deep level is exactly what you are going to get. I do feel that you should almost kind of be, try to be blind to things. It's kind of funny because look at this Wheel of Fortune. There are these three monkeys on there. Those three monkeys represent, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, or, whatever that whole thing is. Kind of goes right along with what I'm feeling for you. I feel that, yes, maybe you do have to kind of, be ignorant to certain negative things that are going on in your life. But, is that necessarily a bad thing? I'm not so sure. Obviously, there are certain responsibilities you're going to have to pay attention to. But for the most part, I would be feeding yourself, positivity and, good things in your life. Because I feel like that is exactly what you're going to get. I would do everything you possibly can to improve your environment in general. Like I said, it's funny that there are birds showing up here. I tie flies for fly fishing, right? And, for weeks I've been feeling weird. I've been feeling off. When I was a kid, they kind of said that I might be allergic to feathers, and I use feathers to tie flies, right? And so I've been feeling off for like weeks, and my hands broke out. Like if you watched one of my older videos, my hands broke out as well. And I got rid of the feathers and I got rid of all my stuff and put it in another room, basically. And like literally overnight, I started feeling better. So that's like one thing I did. It's popping into my head. I'm not saying you're allergic to feathers, Pisces, but again, it's funny how like, just kind of like one little, environmental change can make you feel significantly better in your life. Again, I feel like for some of you, you could be feeling off. That's why I'm saying this. I'm not saying it's, an allergy. It could be for some of you, but it could be something else as well. Like maybe you watch something on YouTube that upsets you. Stop watching it. Maybe looking at your astrology upsets you. I remember I love astrology, but there was a time in my life for months where I avoided it on purpose because it was putting me in a negative mental space, right? I was allowing it to affect me too much. I always say to everybody, tarot, astrology, it should be like the cherry on top of your life. It should be a very tiny little sprinkle of salt on your life, right? Is what tarot and astrology should be in my mind. It should just be light guidance at best. So, that's what I'd say there. But if things are affecting you mentally, I would be very careful in this first row. But you have the Empress here as well, so tons of abundance. I do feel like there could be a major change in your abundance and a lot of success coming in for you in this row. A lot going on here, but I do feel there's going to be a change in your fortunes. Again, next year, Jupiter enters into your sign. Could be a very, positive change. In the area of the unexpected, you have this Be Playful card here, the Sandpiper Spirit. I do feel like this card is actually saying you're going to end up with a lot more free time than you realize. For some of you, I kind of get this energy of something becoming more simple in this row. You have the Knight of Swords, the Hangman, and the Ace of Pentacles. It's kind of weird because I feel that maybe you're doing something right now that is kind of like sucking your energy away from you. Could be in work, could be in business for most of you, I feel. And I feel like you're finding something that's like easier and probably is going to pay you more money. The Empress, Ace of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles over here, Wheel of Fortune. It's like there's something where you could be getting into something here that fits more into your lifestyle. It's kind of funny because I am seeing this reading as a lifestyle as well. I keep getting that word when I kind of like look at the big picture here. I'm seeing this as almost like your lifestyle is the thing that is changing here, Pisces, and it's going to lead to like more free time, being more playful, all these things. You have the Knight of Swords, the Hangman, and the Ace of Pentacles here. Something is like, at the top of this Knight of Swords here, it says unstoppable. And I do feel that something is kind of making you unstoppable. At the same time, I feel like it's something that needs to be started here with the Hangman. So for those of you who have been thinking about getting started on a new business or new opportunity with the Ace of Pentacles here, I feel like it's time to get moving because, once you start, you won't be able to stop, is what this is saying to me. I feel that you're going, I love the Knight of Swords on the positive side of things. To me, it can represent things speeding up. I feel like I'm speeding up. And to me, it can also represent momentum. Basically, you're going to be building something that is very hard to stop. It's almost like it's almost like you're building a train. When you think about it, a train can't just be stopped, right? A train has to put its brakes on long before it gets to a stop. And that's kind of what I get for you. I feel like you're building a train in your life. It's like you are the train. Pisces, you're the freight train here. And I feel like that's like the type of unstoppable that you are becoming. It's going to take a lot of energy to stop this forward momentum. I feel like you got to get out of your head at this time. And I feel like you have to get started here with this Hangman energy. So I would get moving. I love the Ace of Pentacles here, but I almost feel that the Ace of Pentacles is your challenge right now. The problem with the Ace of Pentacles is shiny object syndrome, right? It's like something could look really good. We could have really good ideas, but it's just an opportunity. And I feel for you, Pisces, the challenge is that that something is just an opportunity, meaning the work hasn't been put into whatever this is yet. For some of you, it could be love, where Like, I feel like you could be getting into a situation of love where you're like very deeply thinking about a relationship here, but it's just the opportunity. And I feel like you're fearing the future too much. So I would get out of your head, especially if this is with an earth sign. I do feel like if you're meeting an earth sign anytime over the next few months, that it could be very serious. So, I wouldn't, I would go for it, is what I'm thinking here. For others, like I said, I feel for a lot of you, I feel you have to get out of the scarcity mindset as well. There's a rabbit on this card, and rabbits, they kind of freeze in place when there's like a predator around, or I don't know, like if you go for a walk, I don't know if you've ever been for a walk. I see rabbits all the time on my walks. They would just kind of like freeze in space, and then they kind of jump away, right? So they kind of freeze, and I feel this frozen energy for you. I feel like you have been in a frozen kind of state for a while, and it's almost like you haven't been moving forwards or backwards here with this energy. I think one of the other problems, I'm getting two other challenges here. It's weird that in the area of the unexpected, I'm getting challenges, but we're just going to go with it. I'm getting two other things here as well. With the Ace of Pentacles, I'm feeling like the fear of not having the resources or the financial, opportunities, basically, if you're trying to start something new. Again, I would let that fear go. I also feel like something needs to be revealed here with the Hangman. I feel like some of you, it's almost like I feel like saying don't sell yourself short here, Pisces, for the rest of the year. This bat is kind of like closed up, and I feel like that's kind of like you. And I feel like you need to like show your true colors. I think, it's kind of like one of those things where I feel that some of you, it's almost like the words that are popping into my head are, I feel like you're looking for an example. Like what I mean by that is if you're trying to start a business, if you're wanting to be on YouTube or something like that, I feel like it's almost like you're looking for a person that you can look up to who I don't think you're going to be copying anyone. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like you're looking for someone where you can model yourself after them. The problem is I feel like that's not going to be successful for you right now. I feel like you need to be yourself because it's like the world needs more Pisces right now, Pisces. I feel like the world needs more dreaming, more, just going for stuff. I mean, to me, Pisces really is the sign of just going for something, making it happen, and, kind of being the underdog, right? So I feel that the world needs more underdog people, underdog moments where you come out on top when you were seen as the underdog so that you can inspire other people. So I feel like you need to just go for something and realize, I feel like you need to realize that you are what makes something special, whether you're starting a project, getting into a relationship, whatever. And I feel like this is saying don't sell yourself short. I'm getting a lot of stuff for you, Pisces, in this reading. So I feel like there's, part of me kind of feels like the end of this year, 2021, is going to be way more active than, the beginning of the year, basically. Next, you have the illumination card here. So I feel for some of you, it's kind of like this is saying that a light is being shown on something here, Pisces. And this is in the area of messages from your guides. I do feel your guides are kind of waking you up at this time. But I feel like they're kind of showing you the way. You have the Nine of Swords, the Four of Cups, and the Nine of Pentacles. I really feel like you got to get out of your head with this Nine of Swords energy here. This card, on here it says anxiety, hopelessness, anguish, right? All of these things. I feel like I would be careful of that stewing energy here, Pisces. I've told this story before. But it's like years ago, I was in like a miserable place in my life, and I would just like sit there and stew for like days, where I would just be miserable and I wouldn't be doing anything. And it like, looking back now, of course, it's easy for me to say this, but it's like if I just got moving, if I just did something, even if I just tried to work on a project or something, I probably would have broken free from that energy a lot sooner. And I do feel like this card is like saying, don't stay in this place. I always say on the Nine of Swords, there's like typically there's a bed and there's a carving. There's a person with a sword standing over another person who's on their back, right? To me, the Nine of Swords says you can be the bug or the windshield. You can choose to be the freight train, the immovable force where everybody else needs to get out of your way, or you can constantly be bowing down to other people and you can end up the bug, right? So I feel like your guides are saying it's time for you to be the train. It is time for you to be the windshield, Pisces, with that Nine of Swords. It's time to get out of your head. You have the Four of Cups here, which is kind of like, this card is a card of contemplation. Normally, this person is folding their arms, right? And they're manifesting cups in front of them, but they're not accepting any of those cups into their life. So I feel like you need to realize that you are manifesting the things you need. It might just look different. I think that's the problem with the Four of Cups sometimes, is it's like we could maybe need money for a business, but maybe we don't attract money. Maybe we attract a person who gives us some information that could help us do it for free. But I think sometimes we get too kind of fixed and we say, no, I have to do it this way. So if someone shows us a way to do it for free, we're like, no, it won't work because I have to do it my way. So I do get like a little bit of stubbornness here, and I just feel your guides are kind of like saying, look at other ways of doing things because you'll be more successful a lot faster. And you have the Nine of Pentacles. This is a card of independence. It is a card of fulfillment as well, because the Nine of Pentacles is a card of like self-fulfillment. And on this card, it says culmination as well right here, which is like everything in your life coming together. Makes perfect sense with Jupiter entering into your sign at the end of the year. I do feel like a lot of you are kind of stepping into yourself here, Pisces, but I feel like you have to let it out with this Hangman energy. We're actually going to clarify through this reading, and then we're going to pull your 3 cards at the end. So let's see here. By the way, this is the 5-cent tarot that I'm using, and this is the 7th Sphere Lenormand, if you're wondering what deck this is. Between the Wheel of Fortune and Knight of Swords, you have the Dog. The Dog is a card of loyalty, and it can also represent like could be love. So if you're looking for love, could be someone who's loyal to you coming in for you. But it's also like a card of fortune after difficulty. So just improvements coming in for you. Between the Empress and the Hangman, you have the Animus. This card, in this deck, they call it the Animus. In most Lenormand card decks, they call it the Gentleman. It's the Ace of Hearts. Definitely could be true love coming in for you here. So it's funny that I said Earth sign. Could be a Taurus. Doesn't have to be, but I kind of feel it on this Empress energy. It doesn't matter what gender you're attracted to. Again, I just feel like this is a person that could be coming in for you. I feel like they come from a very abundant place. I feel like they'll be loyal. So if you're looking for love, this looks good. I feel like some of you are a little like salty towards love. Is what I would say here, Pisces. I totally get it. Like, I understand. But I'm not calling you out, but I do feel like some of you could be like a little bit, it's like you've had enough, right? But I do feel this would be a good person that's coming in for you. I almost feel this feeling of, if this is love that's coming in for you, it's almost like it's a little too good to be true, but I feel like at the same time they're able to back it up. So I would just watch people's actions, right? It's like I feel like this person would be more action-oriented. They're not just words. So, I feel like that's how you'll know the difference. I also feel like the other thing that's popping into my head for you here, Pisces, for whatever reason, is I feel like there have been like very similar red flags in the past as far as people that you have dated are concerned. I feel like they've had very similar, things going on, right? And I feel like this person has none of those similar red flags. So I would just look at your past relationships. Maybe you had every single person was a liar, or maybe whatever happened. Maybe they came from a certain background or whatever. I feel like this person is different. They don't have that. Between the Seven of Wands here and the Ace of Pentacles, you have the Bouquet. I almost feel like this is a gift from the universe right here, this opportunity that is being presented to you. I feel like you need to realize that you're a lot more prepared for something than you realize as well. It's like if maybe you're working on a personal project or starting a business or whatever, you're doing something that's going to be putting yourself out into the world. Again, Jupiter is entering into your sign at the end of the year. It's very significant, very important for you, Pisces, especially considering everything else that's in your astrology as well. Basically Uranus in your 3rd house as well in Taurus. The way I see it, I feel like there could be significant changes in your values, the things that you value, the things that are important to you. I also see it as you becoming more valuable as well, Pisces. So it's like you're increasing your value in the world. It's because the world needs Pisces, like I said at the beginning of the reading. The world needs you. And, I feel like this is an opportunity that you could be taking advantage of. Could be, something big, could be something small, but it's going to involve you. So I like it. Between the the Knight of Swords here and the Nine of Swords, you have the King of Spades. This is the Lily. This would be divine counterparts here. I don't really, just like in the tarot, I do not like the King and the Queen of Spades together. To me, it's two people who are not seeing things clearly, who are not kind of coming together. For those of you who are in a relationship, I feel like communication obviously is going to be extremely important. I also feel this could be like just some sort of power struggle. So if you're in a relationship currently, or during the end of this year, I would make sure to communicate about any, power struggles, or, this is something that can be worked through. I always tell people, it's like, you're not watching tarot to, create a bunch of drama in your life. This is so you can fix it, right? So if you're with a person you like, make sure to communicate. Make sure to stay. It looks very like this is a good relationship if you're with someone right now, but, try to communicate, try to bring it together. Between the Hangman and the Four Cups, you have the Stork. This is the Queen of Hearts. If you're not trying to get pregnant, I would be very, very careful with the Stork energy as a card of pregnancy. And not only that, you have the Empress and the Ten of Hearts here. So again, if you're not trying to get pregnant, I would be careful. If you are, by all means, go for it, right? Congratulations, is what I'll say there. For others, I feel like this is you. I mean, I feel like you are being born into the world. It's like you are almost going through a rebirth here. I wouldn't really call this a rebirth, because the funny thing is, you have this bat. How many times have I said that in this reading? I don't even know, but so, I don't know, some of you, there could be a lot of funniness going on in your life, could be hilarious, I don't know, but the Hangman can represent a rebirth. So, I mean, this is a bat. Bats can represent a rebirth. I don't get this rebirth energy. I get more of just like a you being born. It's like who you always were. To me, a rebirth is like more of a transformation. I don't really see this as a transformation as much as I see it as a kind of, blasting yourself out there. It's like, this is what you've always been. You're just shining your light brighter, if that makes sense. Between the Ace of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Animus again here. This deck has this card in it like twice for, I don't really actually remember why, but it has that card in there twice. So clearly there's like a divine counterpart coming in for you. I'm going to pull another card. Yeah, you have the Mountain here as well. I do feel for some of you, it's like if you're looking for love, there could be a little bit of an obstacle for you to get to this person with the Mountain. Not a bad thing. It's just, needing to go through some challenges. Maybe it's a long distance relationship. Maybe a change needs to be made to be with this person. Remember what I was saying here. It's a very weird feeling that I get here, Pisces. It's like two people who are perfect for each other is what I'm getting, but it's like there could be an obstacle for the two of you getting together. So, I feel like just someone has to go through something difficult here. It could be both of you have to go through something. With the Mountain, I always say with the Mountain, it's kind of like a choice. You have a choice whether or not to climb this mountain, but as I always say, where do you get the best views? At the top of a mountain. So to me, it's always worth it to climb the mountain. You will, because that's where you get the best views. So if you're dealing with a person where it might be hard to get back, to get together with the person, I almost just said back together with the person. Again, I always tell people, don't go back to the past, but you do whatever you want, right? But that did just slip out of my mouth. So for some of you, it might be difficult to get back together with a person. For others, I do feel this is more new love, but there could be a challenge. Again, Earth is jumping out to me hard. In your top row outcome, you have the Ten of Pentacles. I mean, to me, again, you had, a couple years ago, you had Saturn in your 11th house in Capricorn. And to me, for you, that is profitable education. One way to look at the 11th house in astrology is that it's kind of like luck, in certain ways. And so when we have Saturn in Capricorn, for like us Pisces, even though Saturn is not still in Capricorn, I don't care. There is still a very strong Capricorn influence in the astrology. And what I would say here is that, basically Saturn Capricorn in the 11th is like profitable education. I was talking about this constantly over the past several years, right, for you Pisces. And I'm going to say it again. I feel for you because here's the thing is it's going to take 30 years more than, basically maybe a little bit less actually now, 27 or whatever, for Saturn to get back to Capricorn. So it's like that energy, it's like it's going to last all the way around. So I think that's what people need to realize. So it's like the more you learn, the more you earn. And that's what I'd say here. And not just in money either, in education and pretty much everything. So I feel like you need to learn as much as you possibly can. With that book energy, there will be a lot of success for you. Middle row here, you have the Rider. This is like a knight in shining armor in love, so there definitely could be love coming in for you here. And you have the Anima. What do you know? There you go. Divine counterparts. Definitely a divine counterpart coming in for some of you. It's probably going to require some education to be with this person, but for those of you that want love, this looks good, especially if it's new love, I would say, because, I feel like it's someone who has no red flags from the past. For maybe a small percentage of you, this could be someone you were already with, but it's definitely an obstacle that needs to be overcome. But damn, Pisces, this is one heck of a reading. I love this. So, love it. So, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Make sure to watch your sun, moon, and rising for a full picture of what's going on for you at this time, Pisces. And thank you for watching.